the very fact that Russia is talking to NATO and to the United States about the European security system is something which was unimaginable just a few weeks ago when the relationship was de facto frozen and Russia has been really excluded from all of those kind of talks. So in a way, he has already moved up the dial. So he could say that Russia is at the table and very much, as you say, dictating the agenda. At the same time, I think it is clear that on the Russian side, they realize that it is unlikely, or very unlikely, that the United States or NATO are going to compromise on the kind of substantial areas of demands that Russia has put on the table, particularly about de jure guarantees that there will not be NATO enlargement into Ukraine. So in that sense, you know, if they do realize that it's impossible that this kind of explicit guarantees are going to be given, that either they will start slowly de-escalating and, you know, announce some sort of small victory that Russia is at the table and dictating the agenda, those talks are going on, there is a possibility of the US-Russia summit, or President Putin decides to take a gamble, which is going to be very costly economically. As we know, both United States and the European Union have announced that they are determined to implement very, very severe sanctions. And of course, within Russia itself, we see all the latest opinion polls that demonstrate that Russian population is not really very keen to see a major war and will not be supporting President Putin as he was supported during the annexation of Crimea. So I think he has potentially a lot to lose if he were to go ahead and stage a military action.
Oksana, Ukraine says it has evidence that Russia was indeed behind this massive cyber attack that we saw at the weekend. It's a claim that, of course, Russia denies. But at what point does this constitute a red line for the West? And what, if any, response will we see?
Well, we still see a lot of ambiguity in the cyberspace. You know, what constitutes the red line? NATO in the past has included, you know, major cyber attacks as a part of their, you know, Article 5 contingencies, where potentially if a cyber attack is large enough against a NATO member, and of course Ukraine is not a NATO member, that it could trigger a collective defense response. But so far we have not seen any countries, including the United States, that has experienced major cyber attacks with substantial consequences over the course of last year, really trying to resort to a conventional military response, a military deterrence. So really at that stage, unfortunately, the cyberspace is still not very clearly, you know, regulated from the point of view of the security rules of the game. So therefore, Russia is likely to stage more cyber attacks. And we have seen that, of course, happening vis-a-vis Ukraine many, many times, but not only Ukraine, but also some of the NATO member states like Baltic states, and that those have not been responded to. So it is unlikely, I think, that more cyber attacks are going to trigger a response from the NATO side.